Otsukimi here. Who else would it be? This is Observations with Otsu, Tuesday edition. Today is Tuesday, February 6th. We're going to take a look at the weekly analysis for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, even though we're about 3 days, about 2.5 days into this. So um, we'll just take a look at the markets, see how things are going. We had kind of a choppy week last week. Overall, nothing too insignificant. We'll take a look at that. That's the whole point of the video, right? And so far for this week, been a little chop as well. I think that that's going to continue to be the case. But we'll take a look at the markets and see how we can address this. You guys know the whole point of these videos is to take a weekly perspective so then I can look at daily perspectives better. So if you are not aware, I have a lot of structured videos. This is my highest time frame video, weekly perspectives. I do daily perspectives in Discord. So I don't cover 4 hour perspectives in these videos anymore. I do those in my Discord channel instead because they're a little more time sensitive and then people can be more personal and we can have discussions about it. So weekly perspectives, observations with Otsu helps me get the daily perspectives for Nowhere videos and then also my Nowhere premium videos, which I get to look at other assets as well. If you want something besides Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and a few other alts sprinkled in, that's where my Nowhere Premium comes into play. I talk about all kinds of coins that nobody, like most people, don't even discuss. And so I just mentioned 6 of them yesterday, and so they're doing relatively okay compared to everything else. So that's pretty much how this is structured, and that's intentional. I think most people should be looking at higher time frames to look at regular, day-to-day charts. If you're trying to trade on the 1 hour, it does not make sense to me unless you're at least looking on the daily and sometimes even higher. But we'll get into that. That's kind of the introduction, and then we'll just kind of go into the theme of the video, and then we'll do some, I'll plug my services, so to speak. I don't mean to say it like that, but I also kind of do because I don't do sponsors anymore. And so it helps support me directly, and then I support you directly as well. Cut out the middleman, cut out the BS. All my stuff is legit. We'll talk about that later as well. So that's the introduction. Let's just get right started. So first things first, I kind of want to talk about the services that I have. Again, not trying to plug, but also I don't really have a choice. Like I don't mean that in a bad way, but this is a way to support you, and then it also supports me directly instead of having to deal with sponsors and things like that. I've debated this for quite a long time, and so a lot of people do ref links, a lot of people do sponsors. I've seen, and one of the reasons I went to this is twofold. One, I can't seem to find good sponsors that are willing to support me in the way that I need supported. And what I mean that by that is a lot of people, like Reflinks, for example, a lot of these exchanges are going to different models to where they are doing, like, you're not making commissions from Reflinks anymore. Like you're kind of, I mean, you are, but you have to have like a minimum number of volume from the people that you refer to. So it's not good enough that if I refer to 100 people, I get X amount of their commission. I only get X amount of their commission if they do enough volume. And so it doesn't really like it weeds out like people that aren't really like super stellar. So like, which is kind of unfortunate because the only way that you can qualify is if you're already like an A tier influencer on Twitter, which kind of defeats the point. Like a lot of those guys that do that, a lot of those guys that have 600,000 followers, like they don't have your interest. They don't have your best interest. And a lot of these guys don't even need the money anyway. A lot of these guys don't even trade. And so that's the thing, like, look at most of the traders that you follow, like how many stellar traders have that follower count? Like very few. I can count less than 5 and probably more so just 2. And a lot of these guys don't do the ref links either, because you're getting bottom barrel people like I know that you are not interested in ref links. And so that leads me, to the second thing is that I know that people aren't interested in ref links. And so like the thing is like if I get a sponsor like Woo, for example, like I know people that have Woo and I know people that have BingX, and then there's other places like that, right? Like they expect to drive people to their site. Okay, and which is fine. That's how it works in the marketing world. I have a marketing business outside of the crypto world. So I know how that works. The problem is a lot of you guys aren't interested in it. You may be interested in Woo or Bing X or whatever, but I shouldn't, it feels weird to try to force that on someone, right? And so I understand how people feel. Despite the fact that I'm in the marketing world, I know what it feels like to be the consumer, and the consumer needs to be treated properly, okay? And not only that, but like years ago, like I know so many people, and so maybe I shouldn't get onto them too much, but I know so many people that had FTX as their sponsor. Okay? And if I was to sponsor somebody like that and then they go down the hole, like I'm not responsible for your money being lost because of their malpractice, but at the same time, I would lose sleep at night knowing that I sponsored someone that was participating in illicit action. And so I don't feel comfortable doing that. So that leads me to the second part of this overall, excuse me, is that I am a multi-talented person. And I really do try to say this humbly as I can because I'm not trying to talk that up. But I have an extensive research and writing background. I'm a copywriter, I'm a marketer, I am also a programmer as well. And so I'm able to put all these things together, including my trading, including everything like that. So this is where my service line comes into play. So if you notice on the screen, this is my Apex Classic script that I focus on. It gives you buys and sells. And I'll kind of go into this because the multi skill set I'm able to provide allows me to give a wide range of things for you. And first things first, this is for people directly. Like they can purchase this at any time. I'll put links in the YouTube description and on Twitter if I post it here or post it over there. But in addition to that, this is things that I've made myself. Okay. I have not outsourced the majority of this. I think I outsourced a little bit, the non-essential parts of them to kind of speed things up. But overall, I've done everything myself. The scripts I've done myself. Nowhere premium. I am the only person that like. There's no, I do have a moderator for crowd control and maybe people that I might have to kick or then that's not a problem because I tend to get a good crowd. But everything else I do myself. I'm the only one that does the videos. I do 10 videos a week. I do 5 for Nowhere, which is a free Discord channel. I do 5 more for Nowhere Premium, which is a paid thing. It's $20 a month, so it's very cheap. And so I'm planning to add more features as well. I'll get into that in a second. Because I'm bouncing around. I'm gonna go back to my scripts here for just a second. The scripts range anywhere between $100 to $750. So, yes, I know that's a lot for a lot of people, but that's part of it. You get more things for what you pay. And so there's other options. There's one-time payments, there's monthly payments, there's things like that. So you can check that out all on the WOMP dashboard. I won't get into too much with that. And so I'll also leave chapters so you can skip this if you don't care. And that's fine. If you don't care, that's fine. I'm not trying to sell you per se, but I'm saying like this can benefit you and it can benefit me directly. It can help support me. And so the important thing about the Apex Classic script is I trade from this directly. So I use this. Okay, this is a script that's been about 4 years in the making, based off of how I trade. And what this does, it gives you buys and sell signals first of all, and then it also gives you something like this, where this is a dark blue line, but the line here on the top is your entry. So you would enter in right there. This red line on the bottom line down here is the stop loss. So that's where you'd put your entry and that's where you put your stop loss. So right here you have a stop loss of 4.8%. Your entry was at 28,000, roughly about 28,500. And so you get to determine, so the entry gets decided for you, the stop loss gets decided for you. The entry or the exit you can take however you want. It depends on your needs. It depends on if your risk tolerance is higher. It depends if you want to ride this out a little bit longer. But if you go from the buy to the sell signal, which would be roughly right here, I guess, on a conservative level, you would have gotten 38, almost 40% at 8R. If you want to do that a little bit higher, you would have gotten more, of course, and then less if you would have gotten less. So that take profit depends on you. And so this is where it looks, I mean, the signals are pretty solid. I can go through these, and so they look pretty decent. What I do is I also back test these, and so that's a pretty solid sell signal here from May of 2022. So, but I back test these regularly. I have 6 back test videos already, over 6 hours worth of back testing on YouTube. You can check that out right now. You can pause the video, check it out. I'm going to do another one this week covering Ethereum, Solana, and a random altcoin at choice. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting an alt at random, probably from this list somewhere. So I'm going to do it completely at random, and then I'm going to do the trades at random too. And this is all going to be recorded live. Okay, this is going to be recorded live. That way, there's no room for people saying that it's manipulated or they're not convinced. I'm putting a lot of due diligence in this to make sure that you get the quality that you should be getting. Okay, and so that's how much confidence I have in this script. It's been 4 years in the making, and I'm confident of this. And so the price for this is based off of one trade. One trade. So the average one trade. So what I do is I take 20 trades at random. I combine them. I get the average for that. And then the average one trade versus those 20 trades is the price that I charge for that based off of a portfolio of one Bitcoin. And so for those of you that have at least one Bitcoin, so about $43,000, that's a steal for you. It's an absolute steal. And so, and I know some people don't have as much as one, but it depends on the weight. So again, the price is worth one trade of what this script offers. So more than likely, you should make your money back within 1 month. And so that's something that I think is relatively a bargain. Also supports you, being able to get you a tool, helps support me because it helps me kind of stay, it's one of these things like I don't have to do the videos. I do these to kind of help you guys out. So if you can help me, that helps me do more videos. And so I do like waking up and just making videos for everyone. So that's the script portion of it. I got 4 scripts overall. I got 2 Apex scripts, an Apex Classic, which is more of a casual trading, Apex Pro, which is more higher risk, higher reward trading, and then I have a Slick Indicator, which does more liquidity based trading. And then I also have an ATMR script, is what I call it, which is a trend based script. So I've got ones for trend, got ones for liquidity, I got ones for signals just like this. And so that's the script portion of that, and that's probably the best way that you can support me, I think, because it's a one-time thing. You get updates with the scripts, you get back testing, things like that. So that's one way that you could support me, and I always thank you for all the support. And so the second thing that you can support me by is through Nowhere Premium. It is a monthly paid option. It's a private trading group. You can call it a paid group, you can call it whatever you want. That's not how it goes down. But what it generally is, and I'll kind of just change this here. So this is the best way to describe this is almost like an advanced assistance group. And so I won't go through all of these because some of these are private, but I've got, what we do is we have regular chats. So the general option, these general channels are free channels, right? So you got the general chat, you got member charts, we do request videos, we talk trading, we talk about, long-term holds. We have regular videos, and I got market updates. These are the daily free videos that I do. I cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana daily, from Sunday through Thursday in this channel. Then we have Avern Scripts, which talks about the Apex script that I just talked about. Usually I give updates with that, and things like that. So Nowhere Premium, and so we also do trade ideas as well. So for Nowhere Premium, we have got premium chat, premium trades, basic, so to speak. But then I got premium charts. So what I do is I post charts in here, and then I post even more charts in the premium charts where I give you more of a long-term discussion on the chart, what I think about it, why I think about the way I am thinking about it, things like that. Mini markets, that's where I do the videos where I cover more. So I guess I can just cover this through here. So the one, and I don't want to, I don't want to do, I just want to focus on this to the members and all that. But so for example, this one, so this one was posted yesterday. So the new charts I posted, and you guys can get this, I guess, as a free sample. So like new charts, like I posted a position on FTM, and this is the video. These are private videos, so you can't watch the videos unless you join. But I posted an FTM position, sand, KDNA, or KDA. I'm sorry. And then I'm also looking at three other positions that we looked at last week. So we had a render long position that went up 19% at 1.7 R. We had CTXC where it went 42%. That was one of our bigger trades that I posted from last week, and then we did Numineer, which went 53%. So all three of these together, we did roughly about 12R. And so I posted CTXC and some other coins in the trading portfolio, which I'll focus on in just a second. But we're up 40% for the month. And so the idea with the trading portfolio is that we started out at 1/4 of one Bitcoin, so 0.25 BTC. And so the rules are that I can keep it in BTC, I can keep it in USD. I think I got about 25% of that 25 in BTC, the rest is in US dollars. And then the goal is to get 25% per month. And so if I start at that 0.25 BTC, by the end of this year, I should have almost 4 Bitcoin. And so that's the goal. The goal isn't to get the 4 Bitcoin per se, although it is. The goal is to get a minimum of 25% per month. Because I'm trying to share to people, okay, everybody's got the trading challenges and portfolios, things like that, right? But most people focus on how much gains can I get. I'm going to start out with $10,000 and I'm going to make 1 million by the end of this month. And I think that that's a wrong way to go about it. A lot of people want to hit home runs. And I keep talking the opposite. I keep talking about base hits. If you're familiar with baseball, runs batted in is the number one stat that leads to the most wins. And so I'm taking that analysis and application and focusing on my own portfolio and saying, okay, I'm going to just do a basic 25%. We'll see how that goes. That encourages people to stay disciplined, encourages people to have a trading plan, and it encourages people to maintain profits. And I think a lot of people underestimate how valuable it is to have consistent profits in a 12-month span. A lot of you guys have no problems making a lot of money for 1 month. Okay, I think for the most part, that's not a question. I think what happens is, and the past 3 months have been a great example. A lot of people, I know a lot of people that made a lot of money in November. Okay, even a lot of followers too. And November was probably one of my most profitable months in the past 2 years. But what happens is the tempo slows down. So about right around Christmas time, things kind of slow down. Then January slowed down, and a lot of people got over leveraged. A lot of people got chopped up, and a lot of people lost money. And I know people that, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this to criticize, but I know people that lost all of their money. Um, and it could be various things. Uh, I don't really know. But the thing is, what I what I what I feel like I need to focus on for my due diligence as an educator is to say, all right, I'm going to make a portfolio with consistent, disciplined rules. Okay. And so my goal is not, because we did have a trading portfolio when we first started premium where it was like, all right, I'm starting at X amount of dollars. And then the goal is to, just see what happens, get as high as we can. And I think most people did not, people prefer the new option that I presented where we're going to focus on 25% gains per month, focus on how that goes. And I'll be honest, sometimes we don't trade for a week. And you got to get used to it. If you don't like that, this is not the portfolio for you. This is not the group for you. I'm not trying to sell you on this, by the way. If you don't like this stuff, that's okay. It's okay to say, all right, I'm not your customer base, whatever. Another goal of mine is I don't want you to wean, I don't want you to like, I'm not your mother's milk, so to speak. I don't want you to be fed these things. And I talked to someone in my group last week. My goal, if you join, is for you to eventually leave because I want you to grow to the point where you can manage trading on your own. Okay. And so I think a lot of people are really, a lot of people that are in charge of paid things are afraid to say that because they want your money. Well, I don't want your money. It isn't about money here. Like, yes, you are supporting me. And the support goes directly back into these videos so I can wake up and do these videos. I love being able to get up in the morning and recording these videos, right? And like I'm in my pajamas right now. being able to record these things, and I'm able to do this because people support me to do this for you. So this is reciprocal, right? Like you support me, I support you. You support me, I support you. And so this, and my business outside of the, I have a separate business outside of the trading life that it is a crypto business, but I deal with clients in marketing and writing and stuff like that. Like I don't do trading, okay? So I could get zero people signing up, and I would still be okay because this isn't part of my income. This is support, reciprocal support that I give back to you, you give back to me, and it's a circle, and everybody's happy, right? And so this is a way. The way I say it is like this: my time is valuable, and I ask you to just support me for my time that I spend helping you. That's all it is. So the trading portfolio, going back to this, we are up 40% with the 25. So we're almost double our goal for January. And actually we started, I think, the second week. So I think the first month of portfolio ends in about 3 days. So I think we'll pretty much lock in that 40%. We'll see how that goes, but it's looking pretty good. And I'll even focus here on the portfolio. And so I post all these things. And so like, you know, um, I'll even just go up here. I've got no problem sharing this because a lot of these trades have already executed anyway. And I want you to see like what goes on. And so this was the criteria right here. And you can even get that link if you want to see the results. That might be private, so I apologize if it is. But trade one, we did a link long, okay, and this was the setup, and it worked pretty good. I think that one we closed out a little early, but that's okay. Second trade, JTO. This was one. This is the one that went really well. So it started to go up 10%. This was the criteria. You can go ahead and check this out if you want to. Um, this is pretty much what I do. And so what the plan is that I share these trades to you, and I share plans on how I trade them, and everything is transparent. How I execute these trades, my Apex Academy that I'm going to relaunch next month. That's the criteria that I use. Okay, so I use my own trading plan that I teach you as a way to use the portfolio. So this is as transparent as it gets. This is the highest practical application that you can get. And so this is completely end to end robust as far as how I share this to you. You can see JTO went up 42%. And what person is sitting, what other trader out there is showing you their feed from their private Discord channel? What other person is showing the Apex, like my Apex script, 6 hours of live back testing? Okay. And so I don't think that you can get a better deal as far as the transparency goes. And so the link one went up, and then the third trade was auction. That one went very well, if I remember correctly. 25%. I think I took a little bit more. JTO went another 10%. Auction 28. And so the YGG. This one didn't go very well. Honestly, I think we did 11 trades overall, and I think 2 of them were losses. The rest of them were wins. So that's one reason why the 40% is there, is because we did a lot of good wins. And so at this, we were already 90% towards our 25% goal. So after 4 trades, even with that being a loss of a trade, we still, and that wasn't lost just yet. That was not, that was going to be here in a second, but we're already 90% towards our goal after basically 3 trades. And so took some more profit here. Fifth trade, so the auction was a full profit taken. And so Sol was another one that we looked at. I think that one went pretty decent. Or no, that one went underwater, I guess. And so you can pause these and check them out and read them. And because, like I said, this is in the portfolio right now. You're welcome to join Discord for free and ask some of the paid people about this. So, sixth trade was CHE. This one went pretty well. That one went up immediately to 11%, and then 25% after that. CTXC was trade number 7. This one did the best. And we'll go to that here in just a second. JTO, we tried that again. I think it failed the second time. So we did 50% profits on CHZ and 25% on JTO. So JTO didn't go good the second trade, but we still took profits on the way up, and that still helped us get some profits. And so that's how we also teach, like, okay, even if a trade doesn't go your way, you can still make money off of it. And so we closed the CHE. It went up pretty significantly. And the CTXC should be coming up shortly. The FTN was another one that went well, trade number 9. And so now we're in a I think this one's still alive, the BTCM trade, the Coin M trade. And so we looked at Sui. Sui didn't work out well. But it's yeah, that's the trading portfolio as well. So it went pretty good. Like I said, we're up 40% overall for that, and right now it's $20 a month. It's very cheap. I do plan on raising the price eventually, um, but I'm also going to add new features as well. I think one feature that we're looking at is kind of like a mini trading bot, just like basic signals, because I do have Avern bots, a lot of signals coming up for that one. That's coming up within the next 30 days. It should be. So anyway, those are two ways to support me: the scripts and the Nowhere Premium. I'll pretty much stop talking about this for now, but let me know. My goal with this is to, you know, I would like to share as much as I can to share the transparency with this. So if you're not convinced by this, but you still are interested in being convinced, let me know, and I'm happy to answer questions. The best way um, is to join Discord for free and then ask me directly. And then I'm also with people that, I think we got like 40 members. So you can also ask them questions as well. I offer 7-day free trials, so there's no risk as far as that goes, and it's $20 a month. Okay, like Starbucks is like $7-8 now, and it's ridiculous. And so go ahead and buy you some homemade coffee like I do. I buy Onyx coffee from the Midwest. It's like $20 a pound, but after you make it at home, it's way cheaper. It's like $1 a cup, pretty much. And so I'm saving myself $6 a cup. After 3 cups, you can pay for this. Okay, so that's the thing. Like, you should be making your coffee at home anyway. And so I think this is a good deal. I'm trying to keep it as cheap as I can for as long as I can. But let me know if you have any questions about this. I'm gonna go to the theme of this video, which will be a little short, and then we'll go into the charts. So the theme for this video, and I'll probably keep it short for this video, is Farcaster, airdrops, and the chop. And so what that means is there's a general theme going on where, and this happens maybe twice a year, where we start focusing a little bit more on narrative things. So like Farcaster, um, as you guys may know or may not know, it's basically the next friend tech social media type thing with benefits. And the whole point, um, like people are going to let's be honest, people are going there because they're trying to farm some sort of points or airdrop. It's not because actually people really care about the the project. And so you may care about the project. That's completely fine. But the thing is, when I went to Friend Tech, for example, I tried that out, and the the entry to get in was very frustrating. It was hard to get onboarded, and so I mean, I did make some money. I didn't really put too much money on it. I think I only made maybe 100, or I think I only put about $100. I made about $400 or $500, so I made relatively good percentage wise. But it was mainly for an experiment to try it out, and to be honest with you, the utility didn't set well with me. The whole point of the airdrops, it was kind of too focused on a point system, and those token drops didn't really do anything. And see, and that's one of the things, like I saw the writing on the wall, noticing that it wasn't going to be very beneficial. And so, and now nobody talks about friend tech. They had a lot of problems since then. And so it's I'm not saying I told you so or nothing like that. It just, the vibe was off for me. And so for Farcaster, I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to say anything about the project per se. But what I do want to say, and this relates to airdrops, is a lot of people are trying to farm these things. Now, you can make a lot of money farming off airdrops. I know that you can. I've seen people do it, and I've gotten 5 figures from airdrops myself. And so, and that's 5 figures from, and this is somebody like me, I don't really try to get airdrops. I just use tech that I like to use. And like one of them was for the Solana airdrop, or airdrops on Solana net ecosystem. It's because I just use I just use the platform. It's basically because of how that is. Uniswap, I just use the platform. That Uniswap was my second biggest one. I think the highest one I had was like a $7,000 airdrop. And so a lot of these I use, like I just use the platform. I don't try to, you know, come up with a huge solution. And I see a lot of threads now lately where it's like you can maximize your potential to make $200,000 and all these steps and things like that. Stake here, restake here, do this, do that, do this, do that. Now, I want to parse out that there are legitimate places to get airdrops and things like that. But I'm talking from a psychological perspective. The more you see these threads, the more you see people trying to farm and cyber attack and things like this, the more that those airdrops are probably going to be far and few between, like worthy airdrops. And so, yes, you are going to get airdrops. Yes, you can make money off of those, but you need to address a few things. How much money are you putting in? Some people don't put in a much, some people put in a lot. Be careful about that, you know. And I encourage you, like, this is not a discouragement. I'm encouraging people to do airdrops. I want to make that clear. And that may not be clear by the way I'm talking, but I want you to treat this like you do trading. Don't, don't just go crazy with your risk because you're going to screw yourself potentially if you do that. So treat this like you would trading. You know, treat this like a trading position. And so I personally have an Eigenlayer node and restaking both. I'm doing both of those. And you know, my combined I mean my I think my combined, you know, effort with that is about $500, maybe 6 or 700 including, you know, hosting fees and things like that. And so for me, that is tolerable to my risk. For others, it may not be the case. I have a spare computer that it's running on. I'm doing everything by the books, and so we'll see. You know, I don't have a lot of staking points just yet. I think I got like 200,000, and that's okay for me. And so I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad, but that's what I'm doing. And so I'm not discouraging people by doing things. I just want you to know that this is just as risky, if not riskier than trading. So just keep that in mind. So, and I say that because a lot of people see people with trades online saying, "Well, I'm not going to follow these stupid influencers, blah 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 blah." But when it comes to airdrops, it's like, "All right, I'm going to invest all my money in it." You know, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Okay, there's reasons why that there's so many, like the fact that so many people are bullish on airdrops should scare you just a little bit, and that because this tends to be the case when things kind of fade out. It's the whole bandwagon thing, right? When things become more of a bandwagon trade, a popular trade, things become less effective. It was the same thing with, you know, the tops that we had for the past two cycles. It's the same with Jerome Powell and the FOMC meetings. Everybody freaking out, didn't do anything. Okay, like the writing is almost always on the wall, and it's almost always when there's a lot of people talking about things. Okay, everybody was hyper bullish at the top of Bitcoin, 69,000. Everybody was hyper bullish for it at the top. Keep that in mind. At the top, people were super headstrong bullish, thinking that 69,000 was just a, a a checkpoint to 100,000, 200,000. Okay, everybody was super bearish at the bottom at 16,000 when everybody thought that we were going to go to 9,000, possibly even 5,000. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. The fact that people are so up crazy about um the airdrops should give you a cause of concern. I'm not saying that that is bearish. I'm not. But I do say keep that in mind because you could get more diluted values from the airdrops. They might have an incentive. They might be trying to sell you a ref link to their hosting or whatever, you know. And I'm not even saying those things are bad. I'm just saying keep cautious with that. I'm not interested in Farcaster myself, mainly because of that. If I lose out on that, that's okay, because I have my own choice of airdrops. My number one, and I'm hesitant to really say anything, but my number one choice is Eigenlayer. I think it's a very popular choice. I think that's a logical choice. I'm not saying I'm not saying that to say, oh, you're gonna get fantastically rich, millions of dollars. I'm not saying that, okay? Because there are threads out there that say that you're gonna miss the best opportunity in your life ever. That's stupid, okay? It's stupid to even have a thread like that. Even if that could be true, which is more than likely not. the fact that you're trying to sell people so hard on that should be a cause of concern. And so my only thought process with the airdrops that it just tends to be the narrative right now. It's the same with Jupiter and Wind Token, everything like that. It's very popular right now, and I take it from someone that has been here. This is my third full cycle now. Um, it tends to come up once a cycle, and generally, right around this time when it's a kind of a bandwagon thing, it does tend to get devalued and diluted. Okay, it's not to say that you can't get airdrops. So, like Uniswap was a great example. Uniswap airdrop was just as simple as you use Uniswap on a wallet on MetaMask or whatever. It wasn't even MetaMask sometimes, but you would just use MetaMask on Uniswap, and you would get, I think, like 400 uni off that or whatever. So I don't remember how much it was. I ended up making like $3,000 off of it, basically just using wallets. And so it was the simplest thing you could do, right? Well, after a while, it got more complicated, right? DYDX, other wallets, things like that. They started making it more complicated. And it's geo restricted, or you had to do a certain number of volume, or you had to buy an NFT, or you had to do something. So it became, first of all, it was very, very simple with Uniswap, then it became more complicated, right? And it kind of should be because everybody knows, well, hey, if I can make money off just trading on Uniswap, well, I'll just trade on DYDX or whatever, and I'll try to qualify. Well, most people didn't. Okay, it's the same thing that's happening now. Most people qualified for Wind token on Solana. Not as many people qualified for Jupiter. See what I'm saying? So now it's going to get harder and harder and harder. It's just on Solana. This is the same music. Okay, it's the same thing. It's just a different environment. Okay, so just be cautious about that. I'm not discouraging you by any means. Go for it, right? But know your risks. That's all I'm really saying about that. And I think that leads into the kind of the chop. We've been kind of choppy for the last week or two, and I think that's why airdrops are getting higher significance and a higher engagement rate. And so I even saw like somebody said, I think it was Ansem that said he had a buddy that made $100 went to 200,000. Well, good for you, I guess. Probably helps that you're Ansem's buddy. I'm not sure how that went down, but the thing is like that's just par for the course, right? So anyway, just know your risks. I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but know what you're getting into because for every tweet that you see about some guy getting from 100 to 200,000, there's a guy that went from 200,000 to 100. Okay, so just keep in mind you're not going to hear about that guy because people like Ansem, and I'm not criticizing him by any means. I don't even know him. I don't even follow him. I just saw the tweet today, but like it's easy for people like that to say, right? But like he won't talk about the people that do the opposite, that start at 200,000 and go to 100. Okay, you won't hear the bad news from a lot of these big time influencers. Okay, and you should treat them nothing else other than big time influencers. Okay, a lot of these guys, I've said this before quite often, like it's prestidigitation. Okay, it's fancy fireworks. I've seen it before. I've been here before. I've been in this space before that guy. Yeah, he's got more followers than me. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care who it is. Okay, I've been here for more than one cycle past this guy. I'll probably be here after this. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. But the thing is like these high top influencers are not saying anything that I haven't heard before. And the only reason you're falling victim to some of these things is because you haven't been here probably as long as I have. And so, again, I'm not discouraging it. I'm not even saying these people are saying anything wrong per se, but it's the whole influencer mentality. Like these guys know the game that they're playing. Okay, they're always gonna come up with some excuse. I've seen literal scammers. I don't think I'm not saying he's a scammer. That's not where I'm going. But from a different story, I've seen people in previous cycles scam people of so much freaking money, and then they just throw it off. They have some stupid excuse. Okay, even so far as to say, well, it's your fault for engaging in my project. Okay, it's, yes, you should have your due diligence. Yes, you're responsible for you pushing the button, but there's also people that will take advantage of people like you because they believe they can. So anyway, um, again, to backtrack, this isn't about any influencer in particular. It isn't even about influencers at all. My thing is, um, be cautious about these airdrops. They should be profitable, but also know your risks. So anyway, and the chop is probably helping you stay bored in the markets and wanting to incentivize your trades into airdrops, increasing your airdrop risk. But I'm not sure that's the best idea. So anyway, be wise about that. Take prudence. But yeah, That's the theme of the video. Basically, just very simple. I'm gonna go to Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, weekly time frames. Start with Bitcoin first. We're gonna get started. All right, going on to Bitcoin first. So going for the weekly perspective. So we had a bullish candle last week, pretty decent overall. We did have a little bit of a wick, um, but we rejected from the top of that zone, but we still closed pretty decently. Now you and I both know that we're kind of in a choppy scenario, and we can see this right now. This is a pretty insignificant. Really, the past two or three candles have been insignificant. The one from 2 weeks ago was good because we actually broke below the range and we wicked up, so that's usually a good sign. But we're still within this choppy range, and so the best way to explain this is just to add this consolidation block right here. And so until we get through this block, there's not really anything really to say on the Bitcoin markets or really in crypto as a whole. And I think we need to keep that in mind. Now I'm not saying that again, this is why I play the theme on this, is because you shouldn't necessarily say, well, this is boring, I'm gonna go do something else with my money. That's not necessarily the best idea. It's not a bad idea just to sit on your hands. You see a lot of people saying that they're making so much money on airdrops, things like that, but you don't see the people that are not making any money or wasting their money or just doing nothing at all. Like there's a lot of survivorship bias. There's always going to be survivorship bias. The people that make $500,000 are going to brag about it. Okay, the people that lose 500,000 are not going to talk about it. They're going to be too shamed. They're going to be embarrassed. Probably got mental problems, mental health, things like that. And that's why, although I don't necessarily think some of these people are scammy or not, that's not the point. The point is, I don't respect these people because they brag about how much they win. But, I made a tweet about this last week. If you want to brag about your money, why don't you go help somebody that needs help? Okay? Full stop. Full freaking stop. Okay? Let's just talk about this for a second. If you're sitting on 7 figs, right? And you're bragging about those 7 figs, and you ain't helping a single soul in your life, screw you. Okay, really, honestly, because people need help out there. There's always somebody in need. And you don't even need to spend a lot of money to help people, okay? You don't. But if you're basically already at retirement money and you can't help a single person, like literally, you can't go donate to a food pantry. Donate $100, okay, to a food pantry. You got $10 million and you can't donate $100 to your local food pantry, then screw off. Literally. Like I'm not trying to be so passionate about this, but it hits close to home lately with people like my son that will never be able to work in his life. That I gotta work for him. I basically have to build to the equivalent of 3 people. Like I'm not my goal is not to retire for me. I gotta help another generation to help too. So it plays into that. Now, yes, that's my struggle, not yours. I agree with that. Okay? That I'm not asking anybody to help me live the life that is mine and not theirs. That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is there are a lot of people in need. You should, to some extent. Now, I believe that you should have the freedom to do how you see fit. I do not agree that the government should be involved in your money. I don't. I'm not a tax the rich person. I'm not. I cannot stand that. Okay? That's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about is that your money, if you have enough to retire off of, if you have enough to make you feel differently, to change your life, that should automatically give you a response to bless other people. I think it should. I absolutely think that should. If it doesn't, that says more about your character than about mine or anybody else's. If you have if you have enough money, like $100 million, let's say, for just you, not even a family, and you feel too greedy to give someone a free meal out of just out of just being selfishness, not out of you. It's one thing to say because I got a sister that's decently well off, and she will give to people, but she will do it and say like, "Well, look how much money I have. I have enough to give you what I want." That's not what I'm talking about either. You're doing that out of selfishness, okay? And it shows up in different ways. Okay, I'm not telling you that you absolutely need to go out and do this or that. Okay, you pick what that would look like. But what I am saying is, if you're sitting on those kind of funds, you are sitting on one of the top demographics in history, in human history. Okay, could you help someone in need to make their day a little bit brighter, to maybe help them get out of a situation? I know a couple that has two kids. The mom can't work because she has a chronic, like she's like 30, and she has a chronic issue where she's basically, her back is basically the equivalent of a 70-year-old. She has constant spasms and hurting constantly. I know a police officer that's paralyzed. Like I know all sorts of people that need help or that have gotten help. And all it takes is, for some people, they need major chronic help, right? So I'm not necessarily saying that, although that could include those people. I'm talking about the people that are starving, the people that need to maybe have a little bit of a boost. Because I grew up in that area. I grew up in a poor redneck town where people needed help. People have no teeth. People can't read. I've known 50-year-olds that can't read. You know, maybe help someone like that to get a teacher, like pay for a teacher to teach them how to read or something like that. Like there's ways to do it. And you don't even have to spend money. Okay, like I know people that volunteer at a ESL center. Okay, like I've done volunteer work at hospitals. I, I'm not a singer. Okay, I'm not a singer, and I've sang at nursing homes to help make people's day brighter on by doing an in like a nursery, like a was it called, I go to the nursing home for, like a church service basically. And so those things are free. And guess what, like that's one thing, like a lot of people don't know about me. Like I love making old people laugh. I love making old people laugh because I can help make their day brighter. And just think that, like, those things don't cost money to do. Okay, so anyway, the emphasis, I'm kind of getting way too far off the rails with this. But the idea is try to help people in need. And if you have a lot of money, that's easier for you to do, right? So I'm just saying, like, people that are struggling, with paying bills, things like that, they don't have the opportunity to help people in need because they're in need themselves. Okay, so the people that can help people in need are those that don't have a need for the most part. So if you have the option to buy a brand new Mercedes Benz, you probably can help afford to pay for a meal for somebody. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, I'll digress from that. All right, but going on back to Bitcoin, we're still within this range. As long as we are in within this range, I think that there's just the idea that we should just stay cautious with this. The market's looking a little brighter right now, so that's pretty good. For the Aaron, we have a bearish wedge that's still at about 71%. So we've got about 10 more weeks of this. So it's a chance that we could consolidate for as long as 10 more weeks. Now, this is looking pretty good. If we break above this, then I think that that's okay. Actually, for the Aaron, the consolidation marker would be here at the local high. So unless we get a local high, basically what this long story short, I'm rambling, but we shouldn't see another all-time high for 10 more weeks. That's what I'm getting at. And this is the range that I'm looking at right here. But, all this looks pretty decent. I think, again, boringness, a slower tempo is what we've been, that's what I've been talking about in a lot of my videos. There is a dispensation to say, all right, the tempo has changed. I'm going to try to change something to increase that tempo back together. And that should not necessarily be a thing. Let the price, let the market come to you. Okay, pretty dead simple. So now we also have this marker here of this previous zone. We're kind of retesting above that. So the consolidation above the middle marker here is a good sign. I like that. We should increase to have a bullish bounce. And this is a good part of the cycle where I don't see any reason to be bearish about anything right now. This is not the time to do it, in my opinion. So this is looking pretty healthy, in my opinion. Going on, sorry, I've been sneezing a little bit. So going on to the daily, this is kind of the zone that I was looking at. We're going to erase all this. I mentioned this quite a bit, but I'll mention this a little more extensively in this video since this is the weekly video. So this is the range I'm looking at. We had a deviation to the upside with the divergence. We went down. We actually deviated back to the upside. Now deviations, as you guys know, are very strong. I've said that plenty of times. So now this is looking pretty good. So this is the new zone that I'm looking at. So you had the deviation going into you had the deviation down, this consolidation zone, breakdown, deviation to the upside. Now we're back into this retest area. So now if we can hold really currently if we can hold above the current zone that we're at, 43,300, we're very close to it. This should lead to continued upside. Okay. There is a chance this could be a reaccumulation pattern. If it does, it'll take about till mid-March to play out. Then we'll push upwards going into April, conveniently going into the halving as well. And so you're going to see as we get closer to April that the halving is going to be a bigger narrative and it's going to play into effect. So just keep that in mind. But daily looks good. We do have a bearish wedge forming on this one, but that's completely okay. The thing too is once this completes, it's going to start affecting the weekly as well. But we also have the RSI bounce, so it's looking pretty good. I think this is looking solid. Again, people are trying to interpret this slower tempo as a way to maybe think that we should be selling or we should be shorting or we should be doing airdrops, and none of those necessarily have to be wrong. I'm just saying don't it's like a road trip, right? Like I like driving. Like I've driven on 3 day road trip where I'm driving 3 days straight, right? There's always going to be an area where it's boring. Okay. The last thing you need to do is take your eyes off the road, okay? And look at your phone while you're driving. Okay, that's stupid, okay? Same thing applies to trading. Don't get distracted and then you miss the big move coming up. So anyway, that's Bitcoin. Let's go to Ethereum. All right, going on to Ethereum on the weekly. So last week we had a bullish candle as well. Nothing really significant, or I mean, but it's worth talking about because we had the wick go to the downside. So again, still bullish candle. No real action. We do have a weekly divergence, bearish divergence, so that is worth looking into. But the same thing really applies. We can just kind of like combine all this into one consolidation. It's really that simple, okay? Like I'm so tired of having to repeat myself with this. Where this is very simple. So many people make this so complicated. Just put this in a consolidation block, play the range. Very simple, right? And so you have that going on. As far as the ARM goes, we're in another ARM bearish wedge, about 70% as well. So we got that same 10-week application on Ethereum as we do Bitcoin. I really do think that we're just going to consolidate for the next 5 weeks. Okay, probably half of that 10-week goal. And so that's going to put us into about March. Okay. And so I think Februaries are usually relatively uneventful anyway. But I think this is all going to play out. I'm just waiting for these consolidation breaks that may take longer than you think. Don't risk too much, like I said, to put you in a higher position than you that you might regret. So divergence playing out, of course. We also have this, similar to Bitcoin, but this is way down the marker. So I think this is one reason why we had this rejection is because we're kind of going into a support structure. We need to break that 2,500 hold. And so it's not enough for me to see this, even though the 3.3 is pretty good today. It needs to hold 2,500 on the weekly for me to be impressed. I do think that ETH is going to start making some leverage, so to speak, over Bitcoin. And so we can kind of take a look at that just briefly here on the ETH BTC charts. And so this is kind of what that looks like. I've kind of mapped this out before, but we could see a bounce going into this trend line break. I want to see a trend line break with this. I'm not really sold on the ETH BTC chart anymore. I don't think most people are either. But I do think we could see something out of that. People just don't follow Bitcoin parity charts anymore. So, which is unfortunate because it used to be an easy way to make money, honestly. And I would do it, but since most people don't, most people follow the USD chart, the Bitcoin pair charts tend to be a little sporadic and they're not as predictable as they used to be. So that's one reason why. And so it created its own, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, so to speak. So got the consolidation, waiting for the break 25. I'm not thinking that we're going to get a downward move just yet. So that's pretty much it with Ethereum. Because if we go down past 2170, we still have a good contention point here at 2120, and then even at 2000. So I think it's going to be hard to go below 2000 ever again. So I think this is going to go to upside in my opinion. So let's go ahead and go to the daily. Kind of have this zone here. I'm going to kind of map this out differently. So again, you had this same deviation marker. So you had this consolidation block deviation, and then we bounced at the lows, and so now we're approaching that. So same thing applies to here. If we can get above this zone, then we can long it. In fact, for those of you in my Discord, we have actually already longed it on the 4 hour, and so that was like so. This was the mark this is very similar. I'm gonna try to recreate it, but a break of this was what we were looking at. I think I marked this zone right here, and then if you mark out at the top, this is kind of roughly like a mock version of what I posted in Discord. If you want to see it, go ahead and join Discord if you haven't. But this is kind of what that looks like. You had your Adam and Eve pattern going into the breakout of the trend line. And this is just a sample of the type of trades that I share in Nowhere Premium as well. So it's doing pretty good. So that's kind of how that is working. So that is looking pretty decent. I think Ethereum is warming up, and I think that's a good sign overall. So anyway, that's Ethereum. Let's go to Solana. All right, going to Solana now. Got some chicken scratch on here. I'm gonna just kind of erase it, and so we're gonna start over with this one. So a little bit different of a story. So Solana put in a bearish candle for the week, pretty extensive to the upside. Had the rejection, small bearish candle, nothing of grave and importance. But we are still kind of fading this overall, and much different than we would otherwise with other charts. And so it's very interesting. I think we could get a build up from here. I don't think that that's out of question per se, but I think this has a different behavior than a lot of people are looking at with Solana. Solana is a very active coin right now, active ecosystem, but the price has not been reflecting that for the past month. And so this remains to be seen. It is possible that we could get upside to about 120, and then we could get a divergence, and then that could come back to the downside. I would watch out for that. I really would. And so we're getting in the stage of the market where things are going to get more bullish very quickly, and that will lend itself to where divergences mean more to me than it would otherwise mean. And so when you get a divergence, so like Bitcoin for example, like you get a big divergence like this one, that I know that's fairly significant, but we had a divergence like right here for example that led to the distribution, a long divergence actually. So you almost had like a second one that also combined with this one, and that was one reason why we had that drop down. This is a bigger divergence as well on like the 3 week, I believe. And so that was a very significant bounce. Like a lot of people just ignored that flat out, and I thought that was the most obvious divergence like in history of divergences. And so it's very similar to how we can view other charts. And so it's worth keeping in mind. I'm gonna check here for the 2 week. So no divergence on this one, but we could. The thing is, it could set one up, and so this is one reason why I don't necessarily think going up too fast is the best idea, because that could lead to a divergence, and then we come back, and there's nothing more frustrating than a coin that goes up 100% and then it comes back down 60%, right? So just keep that in mind. So, but overall, it's not doing too bad. It got the same bearish wedge, and so that's kind of what one thing that I'm looking at is like you have these Aaron bearish wedges across the board. It just means that we're going to consolidate for a little bit. Yes, we are up 3% across the board, depending on the coin. We're doing pretty good, I think. And I've also said this too, like independently, like ENS is up 12%. A lot of coins are independently going to perform better, and I think that's a good thing. I think that is also a sign that the consolidation is leading to a healthy um, growth in the market. So that way, when we do impulse to the upside, which we should, things will be healthy across the board. So this is a good consolidations don't have to be bad. Okay, it's just time to chill for a second, look at coins individually, and looking pretty good. So anyway, got that going on. You got our size kind of down, but nothing significant, no divergence, nothing like that. Another thing I want to mention is you have this marker right here, very similar to Bitcoin Ethereum, but we also deviated below, and that's one thing. We need to get above this 108, preferably above the 113 on the weekly, until we can make something of that. Now, we could add this consolidation marker into that, and if we do, and the one reason we could is if because this wick is into this zone. If we do, then that means we did close at the mid, and then we also touched below at the lows. So this means our 113 is much more valid, in my opinion. That's the target that I'm looking at, is the 113 hold or above on the weekly. So I think that's a very good example. I think very safe outlook. And so with this one, I looked at this before. I was looking at a 50 or a 78% or $78 drop. I think we got to like 79, so that is now done. And so one thing that we can look at here, and this is kind of what I had before, was that we had a wedge play. Now, again, if you're in my Discord, you know that we have a long position open on this. And so it's kind of consolidating right now. And so the long position will start at this candle. And this was my support zone. Now I know that that's at the support, and it happens sometimes, but this is the presentation that I had roughly with this 2.93. We're just above profits, but about 52% move. This is what we're looking for. Okay, and so we have the RSI bounce on the 50. Everything is looking pretty solid. This could go down, but again, like, just because things look like they could doesn't mean that they will. And so all the indicators, everything else is showing that we're going to have some continuation, and so I think that's okay. I think again, just let things go into cruise control, and you can see. So like, for example, like I talked about KDA in my Discord this week, and so KDA was not doing good yesterday. Now it's up 3.5%. And like GRT is up 5%. A lot of these coins weren't doing very good 12 hours ago. Now they are. It's because you just need to chill sometimes. And that sometimes it's unless you have a clear cut on where the direction could go, you shouldn't think anything else, in any other direction, any other way. So anyway, that's Solana. It's a very, very simplistic, honestly, very, very simplistic TA for all three of these. So that's Solana. All right, so just kind of summarize. Weekly, we had a consolidation on Bitcoin, looking for more upside. Could take up to 10 weeks for that to play out. We had a deviation on the daily, still holding strong. If we get above the 43,300 for the daily, we could keep going to about 47, 48. Still looking pretty strong. Going to Ethereum, we had a push up from today, looking pretty solid. I think Ethereum is going to get some momentum over Bitcoin for the next 10 weeks as well. It also has its own 10-week thing going out. It did also cross on the daily, by the way, so keep that in mind. Had a trend line break for the 4-hour. We talked about that in Discord. Solana also had a bullish wedge break. It's right at break even, but still doing pretty solid. Ecosystem's doing very good, robust. RSI is doing good, everything like that. So as far as all of this goes, everything is doing okay. Again, just because we're in cruise control does not mean everything is unhealthy. I think things look pretty good, honestly, across the board. And I want to go through some more alts, but I really don't have the time. But that's where I got my other videos in Discord. And so for Nowhere, which is my free Discord, Nowhere Premium, which is my paid channel, $20 a month. And then I might also do another video later this week on some altcoins as well, or just post them straight to X or Twitter. So let me know what you think. I'm happy to discuss more, happy to share as much as I can. Let me know what you think, and have a good day.